Scammers are out to get you. Have you ever been victim to a con man? Have you ever been the con man? Let's think about it. Hey, my name's Justin Harrell. I challenge you to challenge yourself to think about less taught biblical topics. I want to warn you about con man. Now you might be thinking,
bruh, I know all about robocalls and phishing emails. Phishing? Oh yeah, I love a good old-fashioned relaxing nature hike down to the old fishing pond. Okay, boomer.
I'm not talking about those kinds of con men. I'm talking about the powers and rulers of darkness. They love to con humans into lies about God, ourselves, and others. 2 Corinthians 11:14 says that Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. John 8:44, he was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Scripture warns us about this, but do we heed the warnings? Do we? Because a con man doesn't show up with a big name tag that says, "Con man, beware." Most of the time they use humans as puppets to accomplish their goals. 1 Timothy 4:1 and 2 warn us, "Now the Spirit expressly says that in later times some will depart from the faith by devoting themselves to deceitful spirits and teachings of demons, through the insincerity of liars whose consciences are seared." Have you ever been victim to deceitful spirits and teachings of demons? We really should stop to think about that. See, I believe we've all been victim to being conned. But I also believe we've all participated in being the con man to ourselves. Self-deception is easier than most care to believe. James 1:22, "But be doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves." 1 John 1:8, "If we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and the truth is not in us." Hebrews 3:13, "But exhort one another every day, as long as it is called today, that none of you may be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin." There are many ways to deceive ourselves. Listen to our heart or our flesh nature, not obeying God's commands, or participating in willful sin. But there's one more way I believe we deceive ourselves. That is through the text of Scripture.
Wait, what? Huh? Get behind me, Satan! Huh? Is my hearing on?
Oh, I've got your attention now. Yes, we deceive ourselves using Scripture. This happens when you don't obey its context. See, using context prevents you from being conned by the text.
Nerd.
No. Justin has a point here. Satan's been using the words of God against us from the beginning. Remember in the garden? Did God really say? Hey, Ollie, you're old enough to remember being there, right?
Show some respect.
In the wilderness temptation of Jesus, Satan used Scripture to attack. But Jesus parried those attacks with proper handling of Scripture. I did a video years ago about Scripture being a weapon that needs to be handled properly. Eddie, you said we could do a flashback sequence. Hit the button.
Oh, right, sorry.
Now, with great power comes, well, responsibility. You've got to handle it with care. You need to be trained in how to use a weapon of this nature. Because without training, you could hurt someone, or even yourself. You don't just shake it around and toss it around carelessly. Ah! This is why you want to handle it with care. But this is just a video, so... If you don't handle Scripture properly, you'll con yourselves into false beliefs, error, or even heresy. Yes, even the Bible can lead you astray, if not interpreted correctly. Over the past few years, I've become increasingly aware of the need to really obey context. Just recently, I taught through the letter of 1 Corinthians at my church, and I gained a real appreciation for taking the whole letter into consideration when interpreting the text. It was amazing to see how my understanding of latter parts of the letter were informed by my understanding of the beginning parts. I just cannot overemphasize the importance of context. You can easily ignore it and come to weird or contradicting conclusions.
Guilty as charged.
We even end up pulling verses completely out of their context, and we examine them in splendid isolation. We put them on home decor and hang them around our homes. But do we really understand the meaning of that verse in the context of the entire scripture? If we play loose and sloppy with the context of the text, sooner or later, it's gonna bite us. There are many types of context to be aware of while reading and studying. Here is a sampling. Historical. When and where did this take place? What events were taking place during the writing of this text? Cultural. What did they think? What were the customs of the people of that era? Literary. Is it poetry? Narrative? Allegory? What style of writing is even being used here? They all require different methods of interpretation. Geographic. What about the geographic location might inform me as to why this was written this way? Why the events happened the way they did? Topography, mountains and valleys, bodies of water. All of this can better inform you. Cross-reference. The Bible's not a monolithic creation. It's made up of numerous writings by various authors. And when they write, they make cross-references or callbacks to other portions of Scripture. Why? What were they thinking? See, the goal of context is just to understand the text as honestly as possible. Don't try and squish and fit the text how you'd like it to be. Be open to understand what was truly inspired through the text. Too many times we try to jam a piece of puzzle where it doesn't fit. Then we stand back, we squint, we say it looks kinda right. Don't allow yourself to be conned by the text. Use context. Yes, it can be hard. Yes, it can be difficult, but that's a good thing. Anything worthwhile in life requires hard work. It will keep you digging in the Word. A lifetime of mining the treasures in Scripture. And that's something we should think about.